live. And hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be a host today on Arch Talk 101. And we have a special guest on the line with us, Jeremy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So introduce yourself and tell us a little something about yourself.
All right. My name is Jeremy Lofton. I'm from Georgia, born and raised. Just turned 51. Father, I got 2 boys and a daughter and 2 stepkids, married, and I help manage a construction company. To be quick, that's my brief get to know me. And my passion is love chasing big bucks with archery equipment.
Yeah, you said you have a construction company. What's the name of it, and how would they get a hold of you if they want something done? And what is it you do with it?
It's Big House Construction. We're out of Woodstock. My cell is 404-390-9507, and we take care of anything remodeling wise, storm damage, insurance, roofing. We are a turnkey, full service construction company.
Well, that keeps you busy.
Keeps me slammed. It's hard to find time to hunt. But always during November is my golden time. That's when I take my time off. I save all my sick days and vacation days to the magical rut.
That's what I used to do. Is like my vacation is going on a hunting trip or something. Just to go someplace to just do stuff. It just never really interests me. I was like, I gotta have something to do when I get there. I don't go sitting on the beach just sitting there. It's like I get bored.
Right.
Going to hunt, that's ideal vacations for me.
I base my time off, watch the weather, what's going on with the weather, and I take time off. Well, luckily I hunt a lot of suburban areas. So I'm actually fortunate to be able to take off mornings, hunt mornings. I hunt real close to the house. I don't really travel far. I don't hunt any hunting clubs. So majority of my hunting's close quarters, anywhere from 3 to 5 acres. I got a couple, spots, 10, 15 acres. My biggest spot's 20 acres. But it's mainly archery, and that's all I do is archery hunt and knock doors, get permission, and branch out people I know to obtain permission to chase these elusive suburban big bucks.
What state do you live in?
I live in Georgia.
Georgia. Okay. I think you said I missed it.
I live about an hour north of Atlanta,
Okay.
little town called Dallas, Georgia. And but I'm lucky enough that I'm always out, and one of my top spots is actually from a client of mine that did some remodeling for. I was doing some remodeling. I was like, man, these look like some really good woods. And he started telling me about all these deer. So the day I was there, I looked outside and I seen, a 125, 130. And I was like, man, this place is awesome. He said, yeah, you're welcome to hunt here all you want. And that's actually where I took my largest buck last year.
Oh, cool.
So, yes. So it worked out to gain these spots like that. But it's getting really tough now with competition. We got a lot of guys doing the suburban thing around here, and gaining landowner permission is getting tougher and tougher for us guys. A lot of door knocking. We get more doors slammed on us than yeses.
Yeah,
so,
and sometimes it's not as much that they're giving you permission. It's like, what can you do for them?
Right.
If you go in that approach, is like, hey, like you have a construction company. It's like, okay, what do you need done? I'm going to piece of land. I can give you a good deal on it.
I offer that all the time. That's how I get my foot in the door. It's like, hey, I don't mind doing something at cost or doing something free. If I think a place is really, really good, then yes, that's an option for me.
Yeah, you buy the materials and I'll do the work. And
correct.
The same thing, here, being an archery instructor is like, hey, you're in archery, you know what? Hey, let me hunt your property with you, and I'm going to make you a better archer. I've done it many times, and there's probably not too many archers that I couldn't help somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Even the archers that are been shooting for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I had one guy sent me a video, and it's like, I'm looking. It's like, try this. I finally found something that we could maybe tweak. To make that little extra one. In the beginner, like there's so many things to fix.
Right. See, lucky for me, I grew up shooting tournament archery. I shot 3D. I shot light indoor. I traveled around with ASA, IBO. I was actually one of the first staffs for a lot of different bow companies back in, 18, 19 years old. That's been, over 30 years ago that I actually got started. This is before archery was even a thing, a big thing. I mean, so I was kind of a pioneer. The only reason I had to stop is, family, businesses, stuff like that. I just really didn't have the time to devote for it. These guys that are competitive, that's all they do. For the working class guy, it's just hard to devote all your time, for that lifestyle. But I still shoot, a good bit. I'm always playing with my equipment. I do my own bow tuning, and I'm always tinkering with my equipment. And I'm real OCD on archery stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I do a lot of practice. So being a bow only. So, but I do hunt some areas that people do gun hunt. That's a big challenge, but I've never had a problem or issue with it. So. My largest buck to date in Georgia is 174 and some change. I killed him in 2016. That's my largest. And to date, I think I've got 16 Pope and Youngs. So
that's an accomplishment. Yeah.
yes, sir.
Even
And the crazy
one.
thing is, the crazy thing is I've never killed a big deer with my gun. Back when I grew up gun hunting with my family and my father, my uncles and cousins, I've never ever taken a deer over 115 with a rifle. Growing up, I didn't start taking my big deer until I started hunting tight quarter suburban areas, closer to the town. They get no pressure, so that's kind of been my my go-to.
Yeah, it's close to town, they're not going to let you shoot a firearm.
Correct.
Just too much risk in that bullet going way further. Because the bullet's not going to stop in the
No.
It's going to go through and.
Once you shoot, you can't call it back. So, but my number one areas are, we got actually counties here in Georgia that are archery only. So my number one county is Fulton and Cobb. And luckily the state has those archery only. Those two counties grow the biggest deer in the state every year after year after year. So.
But you don't have the pressure of the firearm season, and
no, sir.
You're going to get a lot of them going that way.
But my largest buck was actually killed in a gun county, believe it or not. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. But fortunate enough that I've gotten, I got family has a little bit of acreage, and so just being able to chase these big deer has just been a passion of mine all my life. It's just, I kill one deer a year. Some years I don't harvest a deer, but I'm all about QDMA. I only chase I only chase mature deer, and so. If I don't kill deer, I'm great with it. So it's not about the kill for me no more. It's all about the chase.
When you get a good area where the chances of getting one, if you want meat, you got meat.
Right.
You can wait. I know here in Nebraska that when I first started, there was only 2 permits, and I got where I would shoot the first deer that come by, and then I'd only hunt bucks until till December time, because our archery season at that time was September 15th through December 31st, except for the 9 days in the second week in November that rifle was there. Then we shut down during that time. Come December, I would fill my tag just so I could fill my tag.
Right. So I grew up and it was $3, 2 does growing up, and then now it's 10 does and $2 now. So the state's gotten real liberal on their doe tags.
Yeah. Now in Nebraska, they've got their season choice tag. They've had that for a while, where you can get, therefore it was two does or 2 antlerless deer, because they don't say does, 2 antlerless deers, on a tag, and you can get how many tags you want. I know when I had my store, I had guys come in legally shoot 20 some deer.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot.
I wouldn't want to process it, because I process my own, because I want to make sure I have my meat. I want to get my meat back, and I want to make sure it's cut the way, my family and we use it. And,
correct.
And much better way to do it. And the way I got it, I use the plastic wrap from, the butchers use, very thick stuff, not the saran wrap that you see. It's really thin. And then I'd wrap it with that, get all the air out of it, and double wrap it with the butcher paper. And I did a moose that way, and 5 years later I'm pulling meat out of the bottom of the freezer, and it's still good. Because it doesn't go through the thaw cycle in a freezer.
Yes.
Where the refrigerator does, and it destroys the meat after 6 months or so.
My family, they love me to jerky 'em, so that's our top thing we do with them. I make jerky with most of mine. And I get some of it ground up. So ground and jerky is a big thing for my family. So
Yeah, I remember one year I had, freezer was all full.
Mm.
Got another deer, and it's like, I can't put it in the freezer. It's full. There's no place for it. So I kind of started making jerky out of it, and that deer lasted about 2 weeks.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
It's like, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet?
yeah. I bring it to my work and give it to my guys, and it doesn't last long. So
Now my kids were eating as soon as it was got done. Let's stick another batch in, and then that'd be done, and they'd be gone by the time the next batch in there. And yeah, about 2 weeks, the whole deer was gone.
yeah, so like my house. So
Yeah, it's so much better meat for you than the commercial raised meat. Don't have
mhm.
chemicals in it, and deer don't have none of that. And that's,
No,
you want organic meat,
it's
get
the
wild
best.
animals.
It's the best. Trust me, it's the best. I got a local processor that does all my. Sometimes I'll get sausage made, solid quarter. Usually, if I kill a mature deer, mature buck, yeah, I usually grind it. And then if we kill a couple does or something, we'll turkey those. So luckily, I got two sons at home, so they're more sugar happy now than I am.
Oh,
It's no problem having a shortage of deer meat at my house because they're younger and they're 26 and 23, so they're still trigger happy.
yeah,
So
they're young enough. They're still excited about it. And
oh yeah,
when you've done it for a while, you're not quite as excited about it, but it's still, a lot of fun going out. And
if I'm dragging out and doing a lot of work, it's got to be worth it. It's got to be worth it.
Yeah,
Really worth it.
you want to drag out the little ones.
Right, right. It's a lot of work. Once the deer hits the ground, people don't understand how much work it actually is. There goes your day. You know,
Yeah, because now the bigger ones are a little harder to pull out, but
correct.
that's why they have carts nowadays.
Right.
Put them on a
That's
cart and wheel them out.
that's one investment I need to get because I got a couple spots that are just thick, and luckily I got two healthy, strong boys to help me drag. So that's not a problem to help that out.
I've drug a lot of deer. Me and a hunting partner would drag a lot of
Trust
deer.
me,
Each grab a
I
leg and pull.
I've grown up dragging deer, so you know I've deer hunted all my life. I think I took my first deer with a gun when I was 11 years old down in South Georgia. It was a Cowhorn spike. So I started deer hunting around these parts when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Going home with my dad, deer were scarce. You'd hunt all year, you may see one deer, and it was just but we still hunted. And then we got in a club down in South Georgia, and it was still nothing like today. I mean, you would hunt all weekend, maybe see a deer, and we count the days down to doe days. It was like a big deal. Oh my gosh, in 2 weeks there's a doe day. We better be taking off work and hunting all the doe days just to go down there to be able to shoot a doe. It was a big deal, a lot bigger deal back then than it is now. So, and now the deer populations is skyrocketing.
Well, yeah, I'd say you can take 10 does.
Yeah, 10 does what I got now, and then all our WMAs are they tag them for you. So if you was to hunt the WMAs plus what the state tags get you, I mean, so they're telling them you could actually legally harvest in 1 year. So
And that's a lot of good meat.
correct.
And if it's more than what your family can use, you can always give some away.
Yeah, so we have a lot of donation feed the hungry stuff here too. So we got a couple of programs that are up and running to donate to your kills. So it's not a problem finding needy families that need it. It never goes to waste. So you always have friends come deer season. You got any extra deer meat? That's a given every year.
Yeah, and some of us says, yeah, I'll give you a call when I get down. You can help me drag it out. You call them, I was like, oh no, I'm busy. But can I?
Nobody helps, but they'll ride over with a cooler.
Yeah.
So
no, it's not out yet. I got to get it. I got to cut it up, and
right.
you come help me, and you can have some. But
Correct. But the good thing about some of these suburban spots, you don't got too much land to deal with. One of my best spots is in Milton. It's in Fulton County, and it's only like 15 acres. And luckily, it's pretty accessible. But it's really thick. But it's pretty accessible with a truck, so it's not that big of a deal.
yeah, we've had some. buddy of mine shot one and it run out of the forest. It was an area where they camp, it's one of the
Mm,
Gibbon Parks owned the land. And it run out and there happened to be a dump station, where the campers go dump.
mm,
It died about 3 or 4 feet from the asphalt.
really?
He drove up, loaded it up.
Yeah,
Drive right up to it.
I got a similar story. I was hunting a small piece of property and I could see the food plot from where I parked at the guy's house. The guy had like 25 acres and it was midday, like 2 o'clock. And I got there and I was getting ready for my hunt and I stepped out of my truck, looked at my food plot, and there was the buck I've been chasing for 2 years, haven't seen in daylight, was with a doe in my food plot 60 yards away. So I grabbed my leafy suit, put on a quick stalk, and stalked within 40 yards of him. And when I shot him, he ran and fell 20 feet from my truck where I was parked at the driveway. So I've got one of those stories too. Quick kill, quick drag. I mean, I really thought he was going to run and jump back in the truck. So it was one of those good hunts. But that was one of the deers that was one I hunted. I chased that deer for years and years and years, but never would see it in daylight. So, but 2 o'clock one day, it all happened.
Come out one time and
That was it. I had him on my camera, but he would always disappear. He would always show back up around November, and he would stay around 2-3 weeks. And I'd get mostly night pictures, couple day pictures, but he would disappear, and we'd never see him again. I always thought, he was real noticeable. You could identify him real easy because he had a split G2 on his right side and maybe a 9-pointer. And ever since he was 4.5, when I started getting pictures of him, he had that one G2 split, and that's how I always could recognize him. And he finally messed up. I mean, I chased that deer for years. So that's actually one of the oldest deers I've actually had a chance to harvest. So, and everybody around me said, yes, that deer's been around here for years and years and years. And same thing, all the hunters, he would never show up. You should get a couple pictures, he would disappear. So that lead to tell me that he had a different range, and then during the rut he traveled, because the guy I talked to was like over a mile away. It was getting pictures of him too. He's like, gosh, this deer, drove me nuts. He showed me pictures. We compared pictures and confirmed it was the same deer. So
they travel a big area, don't they?
They do. They did. I've heard stories of each night they own collar deer, how they travel 4, 5, 6 miles a night, and that's just it's unheard. It's crazy how much a buck will travel. So
yeah, the does don't seem to travel that much. They kind of stay a little bit closer.
they kind of stay where you're at. Is it legal to bait in Nebraska?
No.
No.
You have to, if you put anything down, it's got to come out like 30 days before hunting season or something like that.
They just made it legal here a few years back to bait, fully bait. Georgia's been a non-bait station, and they've made it fully accessible to bait. But I still don't think early season you can get them, a mature buck using a bait site. But come late season, they know you start pressuring them, putting bait out, they stay clear of it. So I've never shot a big buck with his nose in corn. So, but it does draw the does.
Kind of learn, don't they?
Hey, they've learned fast here. The first year was pretty good, but being it's been 3-4 years. When they finally come in, they are so nervous on pins and needles that it's just about impossible to kill a mature buck here on corn. So
yeah, it's each area is a little bit different. I got one area that I hunt that's mostly field. There's a tree line that runs along the back of the property and down one side, and here I finally got some deer during the daylight. I'd catch one once in a while. I catch it always at night. There's one area they would come out half hour to an hour before shooting time. And they're just coming out there, and then I finally got one spot down in one corner where I did catch some. It wasn't until January, February, where one day I caught them in the morning and caught them at night. Out during the daylight.
Right.
Until then I hadn't seen anything during the hunting season, so I'm gonna have to put cameras back up. Getting closer to season to to see, are they coming out during the day and where can we set our tree stands up?
Yeah. Best place down right here is, I try to stage up in between, bedding and feeding. I hunt the does, you hunt the does and eventually it pays off for the bucks. And I don't put a lot of pressure on my deer until, getting close to the rut. Majority of all my big deer has been killed in November. So it gets really good in Georgia about November 10th on up to Thanksgiving. It gets magical here. And, we have bucks show up that we've never had on camera before. No history with it, nothing. But come November, they just show up. And so it's kind of, it just goes to show you, like, you just don't really know. If you can have trail cameras out and kill a deer right there and actually never have on camera. So,
Yeah.
I mean, cameras are great. It's a great tool, but there's still deer that dodge your camera, that go around your camera. I mean, so it's not foolproof. Foolproof.
No, over the hunting season until this last one, when we pulled the cameras, I seen two bucks. One a little bitty one and a little bigger one. So, when I tagged them, I tagged a small buck, large buck. Well,
Right.
come February, I caught 3 different bucks on there. It's like it was this year's, last year's, and the year before's or something.
Mhm.
I've seen 3 different bucks on there that one time. Always I kept catching the other 2, quite often, going through at night in the middle of the night, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock and in the night. And you can't hunt them because they're completely nocturnal. And
Yeah.
we've got a few of them out there that come through during the day, but not as many as I'd like.
Right.
The other property we have is right on the river, but where all the forest is on the other side of the river, we're basically a cornfield or beans or whatever the plant. So there's not a lot there. They do walk around a little bit down there. A lot of coyotes down there. So we're thinking, hey, maybe we'll go do some coyotes, shoot some coyotes. And this other land we have, there's a lot of coyotes coming around there. So I'm kind of thinking, maybe if we get rid of some of the coyotes, maybe we'll have a little more deer coming in there.
Yeah, coyotes, they do the same here. Even my suburban spots in town, I got lots of coyotes close to town. I mean, they've migrated. Growing up, coyotes was unheard of, but now they're my suburban spots, they're there. So
Yeah, you just don't see them much.
no, I've shot 2 while bow hunting, but majority of the coyotes I see is at nighttime on my cameras. So.
Yeah, between the coyotes and the raccoons, that's what I'm catching on cameras.
Yeah, raccoons are big on the corn piles. You got to eat. I mainly run my cameras on corn piles, just do inventory. Even though they're short at night, it lets me know what I've actually got.
Right.
So it's a good, it's a good method just to see what you actually be able to do inventory. People's like, yeah, but you're only getting nighttime pictures. I say yes, but I know he's out there. It's just a cat and mouse game. So it's a good way to do an inventory.
Yeah, keep track of the animals are there, between the rabbits and the raccoons and coyotes and then the deer, so you know what's there. And sometimes you catch some weird images of something that you don't know what it is. And
correct.
I had one that looked really, really ghostly because the deer had his nose right up basically on the camera. Come up, it's like just sniffing the camera. It didn't care. It moseyed around for a while and then walked off.
Right. The big thing here, everybody's got a cell camera. So it's like a 24-hour a day, scouting tool. So I love my cell cameras.
Yeah, those are nice. Right now, ours are just, the fixed ones where you go pull the SD card and, those are nice because you do get to, walk around the property a little bit, but you want to make sure you don't go too often because then you're going to chase them out.
Cell cameras are addictive. You wake up in the morning, look at your phone, you got like 20 or 30, 50 notifications from pictures. All through the day, you'd be working and get it, hear the ding for the notification, look at your phone, and then there, the deer you're chasing is on your corn pile at 11 o'clock in the morning. So, I get just about excited, just, for my cell camera images come in to see what our guys that are actually hunting. It's addictive, just running trail cameras, the cell cameras. I love it, to be able to see, 24 hours a day, eyes in the woods. So.
Yeah, we had one camera we pulled. Actually, a couple of them had quite a few pictures on it, but people when it was like end of December, middle of December when we changed cards last. And
Mhm.
I heard most of the batters would be dead, but I was surprised they were still running.
Right.
Almost 1,000 pictures on one camera.
Mhm.
Wind blowing the branches around and constantly moving. There was nothing there. So he's like, okay, we're gonna get rid of all those pictures. Okay, here's a deer picture.
I still run my cameras. I still got two right now. My couple of my good spots. I got three cameras out right now, still running. This year I'm running my cameras, you know, every day. I'm not, usually I pull them in, don't put them back out until like July or August. But this year I'm running them year round. So it's actually interesting. I've got a camera on the scrape, and I have deers that shed their antlers and they're still using the scrape, to this date right now.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, almost daily. They're still using it. I know it's a big primary, it's a community scrape, but I have numerous bucks still using the scrape. So
That's interesting that they're still scraping, they lost their antlers or,
they're still
grow
scraping
new
it.
ones. And
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it was October, November. So it's been interesting to leave the camera. Actually, first time I've left the camera on, the off season this early. It's been really interesting to watch the deer activity in this scrape. All the deer visited, and it's hard to tell which bucks are which, but you can tell a mature buck, by his body size coming in.
yeah,
And so yeah, I've still got a lot of deer using the scrape over. It's actually my new spot I got last year. So where I harvested that 141-inch 9 last year. And there's two more shooters over there. So I'm hoping, the many pictures of bucks I'm getting, I'm hoping it's one of the shooters that survives. So, but good thing about over there is little deer pressure. So there's a little bit of human pressure. There's people that live around there, but as far as hunters, no hunters around. So it's really convenient for me to have a spot like that with
that's real good.
So that's another thing about, some of these suburban spots. I mean, you might be the only hunter in that woodlot. And so it gives you an advantage of, they get very little pressure. And I'm really adamant on my deer set, hunting numerous times. I try not to hunt a spot over 2 or 3 sits. So I'm real adamant to make sure I don't burn a spot out. So I feel like if you start putting a lot of pressure, them big bucks know.
Yeah, they learn.
They learn real quick. And once they learn, they're on to you, it's really tough to take them. So I kind of keep my pressure light. Our season opens in September. And in Archer County it ends January 31st. But I try not to put too much pressure until it starts cooling off. Middle into October is when I start hunting more regularly. And then really get after them in November.
Well, the early season, when you shoot a deer, you've got to wait a little while for it to,
Right.
to bleed out. And if it's hot out, you don't have
It's
much
hot.
time.
In
By the time
September here,
you
it
shoot
could
it
be,
and kill it, and
yeah.
you got to get it cleaned.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I love the hunting. I just don't enjoy the heat, the bugs. I just don't enjoy. A lot of people do, but back in my younger days, it was 120 degrees. I'd be out there chasing, sweating, swatting mosquitoes. But now that I've gotten older, I tend to enjoy it more sitting there. So I try to wait till cold fronts or cool, at least cooler weather.
Yeah,
So
I've been out early season, with the mosquito netting on, and watching them walk down the netting, and so there's a hole and it bite me where the hole was. Yeah,
right,
and
yeah,
that's just no fun when you're swarmed by mosquitoes and
right,
still getting bit through those things, and they're supposed to not, allow them to bite you, but yeah, they do anyway.
right. Yeah, we got a lot of mosquitoes here in Georgia, so it tends to stay a lot warmer here. I mean, it doesn't really cool down until November, so that's about when it cools down. So
Yeah, September it's pretty early and it can get kind of warm, but by the time it gets, end of September, we're normally fairly cool.
right, right. But yeah, we usually have mild winters here, so we have a high strong fall survival because we have very mild winters here in Georgia.
Yeah, here in Nebraska, we don't. We have some pretty cold days,
Right, right,
which is a whole new challenge when you're out there when it's really cold, your equipment's cold, you're cold, and they seem like they pull harder, like
right,
a little stiffer. and
Right.
kind of what how you lubed your axles. They may be binding up a little bit because whatever you use is cold.
Right.
And then your muscles are cold, and
Right. Yeah, but luckily we have really mild winters here, so it's a good thing. Being a bow only, because you don't have to layer as much. That'd be a challenge to me, having to hunt somewhere where it's very, 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 very cold. That seems like a challenge of itself to be able to bow hunt.
yeah, we'll put on some thermal underwear, and and heavy coats and jackets and bibs, and um, get out there, and
Right.
and try and stay warm. And you get warm enough, and you have the great big big boots you use for like Arctic weather, minus 60 below boots. I got
Yeah.
it looks like Bigfoot. I can't walk in them because they're so big, and my feet get so hot. I can actually be sweating in them and still stay warm because there's
Right.
insulation. So I will generally walk in with my other boots and pull them off and put those on instead.
Yeah.
If it's going to be that cold. Otherwise, I got some of those the Arctic Shield boot covers that I put over my boots.
Yeah.
Those work pretty. It gives a little bit of insulation. It's not as good as the the ones designed to be up in Alaska, minus 60,
Mhm.
but it's still much better than not having anything on there.
Right. Right.
Yeah, whole new challenges. Every area has their own challenge.
Right. Luckily, I barely grew up just bow hunting in Georgia, so I've just never had a desire to go out west or anywhere. I enjoy the whole, the scouting, the preseason, the homework, and everything that goes into it. So I actually enjoy, hunting around where I live. So.
And some people like to travel all over the country and all over the world doing hunts. And I've been to Canada moose hunting, and down it was rifle. I want to do archery, but it was rifle season when a buddy of mine booked the calls or the trip.
Right.
I've been down with him. He, every year he goes on different hunt, and I went down to a hog hunt, hog and
Mhm.
heavily hunt in south part of Texas, one year, and I took my bow, but
Mhm.
unfortunately they didn't get the message that they have an archer here wants to shoot him with his bow, so they set
Mhm.
up in a rifle stand. And the last day I went ahead and used his rifle to shoot one.
Yeah.
I'm standing in the doorway basically to shoot, because you can't shoot through the windows.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
they're just not situated for an archer, and so
Yeah.
I'm the best standing in a doorway.
Yeah, archery takes a different skill set. Setting up. I mean, it's just totally different. I mean, I know a lot of guys do both. Once I went archery only, and I think 2001, I haven't deer hunted with a gun since 2001. I've been archery only. So once I picked it up and took it, I just stayed there. I have no desire to harvest anything with a gun anymore.
Yeah, it's and some of us, that's how we do it, and others, we do archery, we do gun, we do whatever season it is, take advantage of it. And
Right.
fortunately now here in Nebraska they changed it where it doesn't shut down during our firearm season.
Mhm.
It continues. The only difference is during those 9 days of rifle we have to wear orange,
Right.
where the rest of the time we don't have to.
In our archery counties, we don't have to wear any orange, but if we bow hunt during gun season in a gun county, we have to wear orange. So basically the same thing.
Yeah, well, that way, because they can't see you.
Right.
You disappear and they won't know you're there. And I can,
Right.
deer can't see the orange.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, that's what they say.
Yeah, they can see ultraviolet, so anything that shines up on a black light they can see.
Correct.
So that's what they can shine a black light over. If it glows, yeah, it's a good chance that it's going to
They
glow
can
to the
see.
deer as well.
Correct. Correct.
That's why I don't worry about having camoed arrows. I figure if the deer can tell I don't have camoed arrows, I'm already busted.
You're already busted. The
Yeah,
biggest offense I think hunters share is their sense of smell. If
right.
you can fool that, you can fool them. So I'm real particular on my scent control.
Well, and I do that, I wash with the scent eliminating soap and shampoos, and then I have one of the charcoal suits. I think it's scent blocker, scent lock,
Mm,
I forget now. I started out with a British chem suit,
yeah,
activated charcoal, so it does the same thing. And I wear those, and so I don't worry about the wind as much because I've gone through all that to eliminate my scent from going out there. But if you can work on the scent
everything helps.
and the wind, it's always nice to have the wind, because if you do make a noise, it's a little easier for them to not hear it.
Correct,
If you're downwind of them,
correct.
but it's just all depending on the area you're in. When I hunt one of the wildlife areas, when I was hunting it all the time, a lot of campers, and there's always people there.
Mhm.
So little human scent, they don't care about it because they're smelling humans all the time.
Correct, correct.
And so they're not as sensitive to scents like that. So you can get by with a little bit, but the one area that they didn't used to have hunting, one of the forests here down by the river, they didn't have hunting, and they started picking up hunting. Everybody said, well, you're just gonna pick one and shoot them. Day one, yes. Day two, no. They figured out in one day that they're being hunted. So then
Yes.
they had no advantage the second day.
Right.
They knew they were being hunted, and you had to hunt them like any other deer.
Once they catch on, they catch on. They catch on really fast.
Right. Yeah, and that, I seen pictures of like in the 60s and 70s where looking in the forest, you could not see more than about 5 feet. It was just so thick. And when they started doing the hunting, you couldn't see any cover below the height the deer could get to. You could see for a long ways. 100 yards was not hard to see, because anything that they could eat, they ate. So you could walk through the forest and there was no leaves at your head level, because they could stand up and pull the leaves off.
Pull down, browse.
And the people around there that lived there in their houses, they couldn't grow much for crops because the deer would eat them. Couldn't have roses because they'd eat the roses. Pretty much everything that they could eat, they would eat. And,
Right.
and then you'd have people say, well, I feed them. Yeah, well, the one problem is you feed that doe, and the next thing you hear, she has 2 fawns instead of 1. And now you got to feed 3 of them the next year. And then all those does have more. So
They multiply. Yes.
yeah. And when I've gathered anyway, about 2 tons of food a year is what a deer eats.
Mhm.
So if you're going to feed 1 deer, how much are you going to supply to them?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Yes, sir.
So, it's not always a good deal to feed them. If you feed them all the time, they're going to get used to it. They're going to come in.
Mhm.
I know other guys that, the guys that hunt, but he's got where he's at. He puts feed out for the deer, and I can see, January, February, but there's nothing growing, especially if you have, a lot of snow on the ground. Give them a supplement out there and feed them during that time. But once the things start growing, they got plenty of food to eat. So tell us about your most difficult hunt.
One of my most difficult hunts was probably the deer that is actually my largest deer, but it brought back a lot of memories because my son was always my hunting partner, and he went off to college. So I was missing my hunting partner, and he went off to Georgia Southern, and I got this deer to show up on camera in the area that I was hunting. And I looked at it, I said, I've never seen this deer before. And he looked so big on camera, it almost looked like it was, the camera delusion, or,
Yeah.
it looked delusional. And so I got pictures of him one afternoon on Wednesday. And the spot that I had, I seen numerous deer. I seen a lot of deer. So I said, I'm gonna wait. We had a cold front coming in, high pressure cold front on Saturday. And the Saturday morning was gonna be down in the 20s. And I decided to wait to go hunting. So I went there Saturday morning, and I've never not seen a deer at the spot. Climbed up Saturday morning, and I hunted till noon and did not see a deer. So discouraged, because I've had pictures of 2 shooter bucks and a deer I call Hoss. And I had him show up, and I had no history with him, none. So I said, I decided to move my stand closer to a thicket about 40 yards away. So that afternoon I climbed up. Sure enough, right at about 5:20, the spot that I was at, the big deer's 16 pointers, 8x8. He showed up 10 yards from the tree I hunted that morning. So my move was not a good move. So I'm standing there, and my first instinct was, I'm gonna get my camera out on my phone to take a picture of it because nobody's gonna believe me. But then I sat back down and said, I'm gonna hit my grunt call a few times. If I hit my grunt call 2 times and like on a string, he just walked 30 yards from me, stopped broadside, and I made a perfect shot of him. You know, the first thing I did was I shot him. I called my son down at George Southern, and I said, you're not gonna believe what I just did. I just shot the biggest deer of my life. And it kind of bothered me because, you know, he wasn't there to share it with me. And so I called a couple more of my good buddies up that I hunted with, and they come and help me track. It was a short track job. And when I laid my hands on him, I've never laid hands on a deer this large before. And Georgia, we got some really good deer, but you know, 175-inch net, you know, buck, you know, 8x8, they're very far few between. And he was non-typical. So that's my largest deer and probably my favorite deer. But I've killed a lot of other deer I've hunted hard for. The deer I shot last year, me and him played cat and mouse for 2 weeks. He would show up, either win me, I wasn't there. So I finally had to change tactics and move down closer to his bed areas. And I've never really hunted out of a ground blind. So I actually harvested him out of a ground blind. And that was a true challenge, being eye level with all the deer. I mean, they were just so many eyes there. It was just hardest thing. When he showed up, I actually laid down in the ground blind and was waiting until he got within range for me to kneel up, take a shot at it. But that was last year. So
Yeah, ground blinds are a little different to shoot out of, aren't they?
yes. Actually, I like ground blinds, but I would rather hunt up a climber or a lock on, preferably. But there was no trees to climb where the deer were showing up regularly, and I had to make a move on it. And a ground blind was the only way. So that was it.
Yeah, I've hunted out of ground blinds. It's kind of nice up here, you know, in Nebraska in the wintertime because you don't need to have so much clothes on.
Right. You also use a heater. You can also use, So it's comfortable, but fooling those big deer and having deer eye level weekend in the range, it's really tough. Really tough. So
yeah, I like the visibility that I have, you know, being up in a tree stand. I still prefer a tree stand.
I did too.
Because, you know, I can see, you know, you're a little bit more exposed. You have to deal with the wind a little bit more.
A little bit more.
And Nebraska, probably the only time you don't have wind is first thing in the morning. Other than that, you got wind all day long.
All day.
You know, we can have 20, 30 mile an hour winds, and you can't bow hunt in that kind of wind.
Yeah. No, but you know, I like to pick my weather, but sometimes you don't have no choice because you can't kill them from the couch. You know, but
no.
So
yeah, I had one time it was, you know, light rain, supposed to be light raining, and guys hunting with, he wanted to go hunting. It's like, I really don't go. You know, it's all rainy and it's hard to track them. But I knew if I didn't go, he'd sit in my tree stand and he'd shoot a deer.
So you went.
So I went and I shot a deer out of my tree stand.
Majority of my hunts, I hunt my son. So majority of all my hunts, I'm hunting my oldest son. I mean, he's a big bow hunter too. His passion's just like mine in bow hunting, and you know, luckily he likes to go. So he's hard to get up in the morning, but once I get him up and going, he's going.
Yeah, hard to get up in the morning.
Correct.
Yeah, it's hunting in the rain is a whole new experience in it because you don't have much of blood trap.
No,
Yeah.
I tend not to hunt the rain much. If it's raining, I tend not to do it just for that reason. Is recovery. If you don't see them fall right there, it's almost impossible unless you get a marginal hit. So
Yeah, fortunately, I was able to track the footprints,
right,
the mud, because there wasn't much blood.
Right.
It didn't go very far, but you know, tracking it in the mud, and you don't hear them crash because it's wet. And yeah, it's a little different hunt when you're hunting in the rain. I prefer not to. A light mist. I know we went out one time, and it was supposed to stop raining. You know, about shooting time starts. So I figured, okay, it's not gonna be raining. We go out there. It didn't stop raining. Well, okay, well, let's wait a little bit longer. It didn't stop raining. So now we're about 3 hours into the hunt and it's still raining. So we decide to leave. And my son is fairly close to me and we're walking out and here, what do we see in front of us about 20 yards or so? A deer standing broadside to us. So
Right.
my son is like, okay, stand behind me, get ready, because you can load your arrow because we didn't have any arrows knocked. And I was like, I'm going to
Right.
stand here because he's going to be looking at me. He's not going to see you behind me. Get ready and step out. And of course, I did mosey off before he got ready. But that would have been fun.
Right.
Because then all he do is he just kind of lean out and take a shot, and
Right.
I could slowly squat down or something, or he could just kind of step to the side. And I don't think I'd want to squat down because that lower limb might smack me in the back of the head or something.
Yes.
He could easily step off to the side and take a shot, but it didn't pan out. Hey,
Did pan out.
it goes.
Yeah, I haven't hover speed deer off the ground either. I say actually one really good one. That's all I've ever harvested off the ground. I've shot 2 does off the ground. As far as anything, which are only one spot in stalk. So majority of all of our deer, is out of tree stands or ground lines. So
Yeah, most of mine have all been tree stands. I don't think I ever shot one out of a blind because the couple times I did use a blind, I didn't get anything coming by. But I've shot quite a few out of a tree stand. And
right, that's majority of our hunting.
I just prefer it. You're up there. I can see them coming in. I can see behind me instead of trying to, look through the few spots that you have open that you can see out of your blind. And, if you have them open, then they can see you moving inside. And, of course, if you're moving, we're up in tree stand, they're going to see you anyway.
Right.
But I can easily turn my head slowly to the side and look, as opposed to, trying to move around and to find a hole to look out of them. I just prefer them. A lot of people like them. I've talked to a few people on here that have they prefer on the ground, and they set up kind of natural blinds, and they tuck away. And one guy's telling me, it's like if you put up a ground blind, they know it immediately and stay away. They'll see it 100 yards away and avoid you. So you got to use natural stuff, and and if you're using like your traditional equipment, now they're so long, I
Right.
don't worry about how tall it is. And I've taken one time, and I was shooting down and sitting down, and my lower limb hit the tree stand, and of course,
I've done that
I'm
once.
not even close to hitting it. It's like this is
Yeah.
an easy shot, but my limb hit the bottom of the
I've
tree.
done that one time. So I know I heard a lot of pow. I'm looking around, the deer's still staring at me. So I've had that happen to me one time.
Yeah, just one time. I've had the string hit me
One
before I
time,
knew
yeah.
better. I had the string hit my arm, in the wintertime with big heavy coat on, and end up making, still a killing shot, but end up being, shattered the thigh bone, rear leg bone. The broadhead just completely shattered it, and of course took out a main artery, so it bled out anyway. It went and laid down. I could see it, but there was a big tree in the way, so I couldn't put another arrow in it because I couldn't get to the spot doing any good.
Right.
Yeah, because I always figure, hey, if it's in range, I already got one arrow in it, I'm going to stick another one in it. Just, a second arrow.
Yeah, a little insurance never hurts.
Yeah.
If I shoot a deer, I don't see him go down and he beds down, or I get another shot, I put another one in. So
Yeah, I had one I shot that was coming. It was probably 5-yard shot. I shot it before it could walk underneath my tree stand, run out in the field about 30 yards, stood broadside. And of course, I have to lean out to get around a tree, and I'm using my safety belt to hold me into the tree stand and take another shot. And I made a good shot on it. It may have just stood there and fell over, but it run to the top of the hill, and it kind of took a right turn into a bunch of brush, and there it was laying in the brush. A couple hours later, we finally find it. It's like, okay, it's nowhere. We don't see any more blood. And then we found it, and early season, so you don't have a lot of time.
That's one good thing about archery's taught me. It teaches you to be a really good tracker.
Right.
You learn so much more from being an archery hunter than you do gun hunting. you know, it teaches you patience, getting close to your quarters of your game, tracking skills. So it makes you an all around better hunter.
Yeah, because you know, you have to track them, you know, like a lot of times the rifle, they don't run very far.
Mhm.
Sometimes they do. You never know. But yeah, they don't normally lay down within sight. Sometimes they do. You know, even on a bad hit, they're going to run, 20, 30 yards. Sometimes they're going to go lay down and then if it's not a good hit, you got how long you got to wait before you can go out and get them.
Right. Right.
Well, yeah, I can see you're at work, so we don't want to take up too much of your day.
Okay.
Tell us about your most exciting hunt.
Most exciting. It's hard to pick just one because with archery equipment, they're all exciting.
Right.
It's, you know,
Or maybe what's the most memorable hunt that you had?
most memorable hunt. I would say it's a deer that me and my son were chasing. And it was one morning, it was one of those magical mornings, and we're both like 60 yards away, and it was nonstop bucks chasing. They were chasing those to him, chasing those to me. He couldn't get a shot. I couldn't get a shot. I mean, they were chasing deer circles. And I finally got a shot. My son being there, I shot a really big deer and just having him there. And, seeing that much running activity was just, it was so insane at the running activity that morning that there was 7, 8, 9 mature bucks chasing the same 3 does. Just all right. They did the circles run. They would leave 10 minutes later, they're coming back, grunting, raising cane. I mean, it was by the time I got a shot, I was so tore up. I don't know how I composed myself to make a 20-yard shot. It was a chip shot, but I was so torn up from adrenaline and buck fever that it was really tough. That's probably my most memorable.
Yeah, those are as exciting ones when you have all that activity going on.
That's the best running morning I've ever experienced in my life. So,
Yeah, that would be quite a memorable hunt.
I mean, you couldn't even sit down. It was so, hot that morning. I mean, you start to sit back down and here they come again. You hear them grunting and running, so it was one of those magical mornings.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to our audience? What would you like to tell them? Whether it be a beginning archer or a median or advanced archer, what would you like to say to them? And
To all the beginners out there, remember us good, us guys been doing it, did it successful. We were right there where you was at one time. We were once beginners. And if it's your passion, follow it. Bow hunting has got so many ups and downs, challenges, but the rewards are so great that the biggest thing with archery is practice. Practice. Know your equipment, learn your equipment, and just stay at it. Because eventually, it's the dots are going to line up and you'll be successful. I would rather shoot a 100-inch deer with my bow than a 180-inch deer with my gun, to be honest with you. So,
yeah, a little more challenging.
a lot more challenges, a lot more satisfaction. Just some of the archery hunting that stuck with me. Once I started, I haven't stopped. It's been a passion, something that drives me year-round, drives me, something I never go daily without thinking about. So, and archery's not cheap, so make sure you beginners get a good job to pay for it because archery's not cheap.
Well, and then when you look at, what's the price per pound for the deer that you get, the amount we're spending to get that few, the 1 deer, 2 deer, however many you get, there's a lot invested in it. Everybody thinks, oh, it's cheap. Well, yeah, our ammo is fairly cheap because we can reuse it. Unlike
Correct.
you shoot it once, you can reuse the brass. That's it. Everything else is expendable. And
Minimal.
being a reloader, I know that very well.
Right.
But yeah, it's just so much. There's a lot of fun doing it, and there's a little more challenge in it, and it's just.
I enjoy the off season, the practicing, the scouting, the running cameras. There's so much more goes into bow hunting. I really enjoy getting in my yard afternoons, practicing. that's something I've always enjoyed is, staying in tune, mess with archery equipment. I do my own bow work and do my own bow tuning. It's kind of something I'm fully set up, to do all my own archery work. I build my own arrows. So it's really,
Yeah, I've been making my own arrows, well, since the 60s when I started. I've got some arrows I made, and they're wooden shafts, but the tips were actually crimped on, and then you have to glue knock on and fletch them. And when I started out, my very first fletching jig cost me $1.65.
I remember shooting 2117 game getters with
Yeah.
5-inch feathers with a PSE Jet Flight Express with 5-inch overdraw. Shooting fingers, add that.
Yeah.
And then when I got a mechanical release, I was like, oh my goodness, with a trigger. And a Pete, I shoot one pin with fingers. That's how I started out.
Yeah, I started off with fingers as well. I didn't start with the PSE, but I eventually worked the PSE, and in 2001 I became a PSE dealer, and I've got a couple of PSEs that I shoot, and then I was working at Cabela's. I managed to get one of their returns because there was problems with it at a real cheap. It was like a $900 bear in the snow camo, and I forget what I paid for it, but yeah, it was really cheap, but it needed a new string. No big deal. I have the string. I've been making strings since I had my store. So I've been making, it's 20 years ago I started making strings, and then I had to do some other work on a couple of things. There was, the string stop was messed up. I had to fix that, so I fixed that, and it's all back working. But I've never shot it because I've never finished setting it up. I don't need 3 bows to set up. I still got my hunting bow I need to fix. I got my target bow I need to fix. And, I was using the target one to go through a whole series of how to work on bows. And I got so far, I got so many things going on. It's like, I can get back to that, finish up that bow, get it working. I put a new string on my hunt bow, so I need to get it set up. And yeah, there's just so many things to do. But it's fun. I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy creating the videos on doing some of that stuff as well. And so,
thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And one thing for you new archers or even experienced archers, the podcast Arch Talk 101, and I have a Facebook group of the same name. And in there, we're there to help beginners shoot. So hey, if you have a setup that you're not sure of, take pictures of it, upload it. And there's people who have been working on bows for decades. I've been working on bows since 2001. Been an archery instructor since 95. So upload an image of your form, and it's all for helping you learn. And I always tell everybody, it's like the only dumb question is the one you don't ask.
Correct.
And that's what it is. Ask. And you'll get, honest answers. I've seen some groups, the answer is like, well, how's my form? You just need to shoot bigger, more. I'm like, well, shooting wrong isn't going to help you. Let's figure out what your problem is, and then make you better archer. And that's what we're doing, is trying to make everybody's, better archery. And, the podcast that, I started out with, a lot of information now and doing a lot of interviews. It's so fun talking to archers all over the world, like you down in Georgia and in foreign countries, and all over it just all the same thing. You're all here to help each other out. So if there's anything you have any questions on, hey, if you're in the group, post a comment. We'll help you out. If you're not, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can always make a post there. Or if you actually get to watch it on the YouTube channel, hey, make comments. I do read them, and here to help. So Jeremy, it's been great talking to you, and I'm sure you got to get back to
yes, unfortunately,
taking out of your day here.
No problem, and thanks for having me.
And what I'll do is I'll put a link into the description, how to contact you, and that way anybody in Georgia that needs something done, hey, we have connection to somebody that knows what they're doing and can help you out, and help a fellow archer out.
Trust me, I will.
business. And who knows, you might find your next best friend.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Roy.
Yep. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it. My name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Arch Talk 101.